Optimist brains think alike, pessimists differ, neural activity patterns explored. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to be in perfect sync when talking about what's coming next, while others are all over the map? That's the intriguing puzzle at the heart of a groundbreaking study from Kobe University. Researchers have uncovered that when optimists picture the future, their brains light up in remarkably similar ways, but pessimists show a wild variety in their neural fireworks. This discovery not only sheds light on why optimists often come across as more sociable and connected, but also challenges us to think about how our inner worlds shape our relationships. But let's back up a bit. Optimism and pessimism aren't just attitudes. They're deeply wired into how our brains handle thoughts about the future. According to Kobe University psychologist Kuniaka Yanagisawa, optimists tend to build stronger social bonds and larger circles of friends. You might picture this as the person at a party who's always chatting easily with everyone, sharing laughs and plans, while the pessimist might be off to the side, lost in their own thoughts. Yanagisawa wondered, why is that? It turns out, recent research hinted that people in tight-knit social groups often react to the world in similar ways neurologically. So, he hypothesized that optimists might literally see the future through a shared lens in their brains, making it simpler to connect and understand each other. To dive into this, Yanagisawa pulled together a team blending social psychology and cognitive neuroscience, fields that don't always overlap, but here they clicked perfectly. For years, this question sat unexplored because it fell into that awkward space between disciplines. But with this collaboration, they cracked open what Yanagisawa calls the black box of how our minds handle future thinking. They brought in 87 volunteers, representing a full range from diehard pessimists to unwavering optimists, and had them imagine all sorts of future scenarios, everything from winning the lottery to facing a tough challenge. While they did this, the team used a tool called functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI for short. If you're new to this, think of fMRI as a high-tech brain scanner that maps out activity by detecting blood flow changes, almost like taking a video of thoughts in action. It's a non-invasive way to peek inside and see how different ideas spark neural patterns. What they found, published in the journal PNAS, is fascinating. Optimists' brain activity patterns were strikingly alike when envisioning future events. Imagine a group of friends all describing the same sunny vacation spot. They're using similar words and images because they're on the same wavelength. Pessimists, however, had much more varied neural responses, like each one painting a completely different picture of that same vacation, full of unique worries or doubts. This echoes a famous line from literature, reminding us that while optimists might share a common outlook, each pessimist's view is distinctly their own. And this is the part most people miss. The study didn't stop at just comparing optimists and pessimists. Yanagisawa's team dug deeper and found that optimists show a sharper contrast in their brain activity when thinking about positive versus negative events. For example, if an optimist is imagining a promotion at work, positive, versus losing a job, negative, their brain clearly differentiates between the two, almost like flipping a switch. Pessimists, on the other hand, don't have such a stark divide. Yanagisawa explains that this doesn't mean optimists are ignoring bad outcomes. Instead, they tend to process negative scenarios in a more detached, abstract way. Think of it like viewing a scary movie from a distance. It's less emotionally intense because you're not zooming in on the details. This approach helps buffer the impact, but it raises an interesting point. Optimism isn't about twisting negatives into positives. It's more about keeping emotional storms at bay. But here's where it gets controversial. If optimists are all tuned to the same frequency, does that make their worldview more correct or just more uniform? Some might argue that this shared neural pattern fosters better communication and reduces misunderstandings, which could be a boon for society. On the flip side, it might lead to a lack of diversity in thinking, potentially overlooking innovative ideas that pessimists, with their varied perspectives, could bring to the table. Yanagisawa himself is pondering whether this similarity is something we're born with, or if it's shaped over time through experiences, conversations, and even cultural influences. For instance, growing up in a supportive environment might wire optimists to sync up more easily, while challenging circumstances could foster the individuality seen in pessimists. Yanagisawa's work isn't just academic. It's aimed at tackling bigger issues like loneliness and improving how we connect with each other. He sees this shared wavelength as more than a metaphor. It's a tangible brain phenomenon that could hold keys to building stronger communities. Yet, this opens up new debates. Is encouraging optimism the best way to fight isolation? Or do we risk undervaluing the depth that pessimistic viewpoints add to discussions? What do you think? Could this explain why some groups gel so well while others clash? Or is there more to human connection than brain patterns? Share your experiences. Have you noticed differences in how optimists and pessimists in your life approach the future? Let's spark a conversation in the comments. Agreement or disagreement welcome. Brain scan study reveals optimists share brain patterns. Pessimists are unique. Optimists' brains share striking similarities, while pessimists are each unique, study reveals. July 21st, 2025, 4-minute read. In a thought-provoking new study, neuroscientists have discovered that optimists exhibit remarkably similar brain activation patterns when envisioning the future. In stark contrast, each pessimist's neural activity is distinct and one of a kind. This groundbreaking research sheds light on the fundamental differences between optimism and pessimism in the brain, a crucial finding given the well-established links between optimism and enhanced physical, mental, and social well-being. Kuniakai Yanagisawa, the study's lead author and a psychologist at Kobe University in Japan, explains, "We often view imagining the future as a highly personal, subjective act. However, our study demonstrates that, especially for optimists, the way our brains engage in this process can be quite similar." He suggests that such shared cognitive frameworks for imagining the future may underpin why we naturally connect with certain individuals. Previous research has indicated that optimists boast larger social networks and greater acceptance among their peers. Yanagisawa sought to unravel whether this social success was merely a matter of personality or if optimists might share a basic brain mechanism facilitating social connections. The researchers employed functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, to scan participants' brains as they imagined various future events involving themselves or their spouse. These events range from positive to neutral to negative. Following the scans, participants completed a questionnaire to assess their levels of optimism or pessimism. The study was conducted twice, once with 37 participants and again with 50. Focusing on the medial prefrontal cortex, a region highly active during future event imagination, the researchers compared brain activation patterns between pairs of participants. Remarkably, only pairs comprising two optimistic individuals displayed similar brain activation. Pairs with one or two pessimistic participants showed dissimilar patterns. Moreover, optimists exhibited more pronounced differences in brain patterns for emotionally positive and negative events compared to pessimists. This study's findings align with prior research on positive social traits, such as the 2022 BrainScan study revealing that individuals with central positions in their social networks have similar activation patterns, while less central individuals display more idiosyncrasies. A similar pattern emerged in a study examining people with low versus high levels of loneliness. Elisa Beck, a social neuroscientist at the University of Southern California and lead author of the two aforementioned studies, refers to these results as examples of the Anna Karenina principle. This principle posits that successful endeavors share common characteristics, while unsuccessful ones differ in their own unique ways. Beck suggests, one intriguing interpretation, consistent with the Anna Karenina principle, is that there may be numerous ways for a person to be pessimistic, whereas optimistic individuals tend to converge on a few shared mental models of a hopeful future. Collectively, these studies hint at a more overarching principle. Being on the same page as others may be a foundational mechanism underlying the experience of social connection. However, the study leaves room for further exploration. It remains unclear how much the dimensions of optimism, loneliness, and social network position overlap or remain distinct, as the current study did not control for loneliness or social network position, and Beck's prior work did not control for optimism. Furthermore, optimism and pessimism are not fixed traits. They shift with age and vary across cultures. Aaliyah Devitt, a psychologist at the University of Waikato in New Zealand who studies future thinking, notes that extreme optimism may not always be beneficial, as it could hinder future planning. Conversely, pessimism might prove advantageous in certain situations, with evidence suggesting that some individuals can be defensive pessimists, better preparing them for the future. Optimist brains think alike when imagining the future. What if I told you that optimistic people don't just share sunny attitudes? They literally share brain patterns when imagining tomorrow. That's the game-changing revelation from Kobe University scientists, who discovered that optimists' brains sync up like orchestral instruments while pessimists' minds march to their own diverse drumbeats. But here's where it gets controversial. Could this neurological harmony actually create social advantages that pessimistic thinkers miss out on? Using functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, a sophisticated brain scanning technique, researchers analyzed 87 participants imagining future scenarios. The results were startling. Optimists displayed remarkably similar neural activity patterns during these visualizations, as if their brains were following the same future playbook. Pessimists, however, showed wildly individual brain responses. No two patterns matched closely. Now, let's unpack the really fascinating part. Optimists don't sugarcoat negative scenarios by magically transforming them into positive ones. Instead, they process bad outcomes with psychological detachment, like watching a troubling scene unfold on a movie screen rather than experiencing it firsthand. This emotional distancing means they acknowledge potential pitfalls without getting swamped by the feelings attached to them. This neurological syncing might explain why optimists typically enjoy richer social connections. Imagine two people effortlessly understanding each other's visions of tomorrow. No wonder they build stronger networks. As lead researcher Kuniakai Yanagisawa poetically notes, with a nod to Tolstoy, optimistic individuals are all alike. Each less optimistic individual imagines the future in their own way. What's truly mind-blowing? That intangible feeling of being on the same wavelength with someone might physically manifest in aligned brain patterns. But this bombshell finding raises burning questions. Are these neural similarities hardwired at birth? Or are they shaped through life experiences and conversations? And here's the provocative angle. Could this research imply that shared neural frameworks create communication advantages inaccessible to those with unique brain patterns? Does conformity in brain function equal social success? We're left wondering, is neurological uniformity the hidden key to belonging? What's your take? Do you believe our brains' togetherness is innate or cultivated? Share your perspective, especially if you disagree with the notion that neural alignment equals social advantage. The comments section is waiting for your hottest takes.